our King Yeshua. Praise Yah. Glory to our King Yeshua. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Glory to our King Yeshua. What is going on today? The topic is fear caused slavery. Fear caused slavery. That's what caused it. Well, first of all, I just want to say welcome back to 3Ts. I know you're busy, you got things to do, and I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible. But I just wanted to say that fear is the reason for slavery. So let's get into that real quick. It's important. I told you I want to bring it together. How did we, our ancestors in America, get into America? And what was the root of this cause, for us to end up here? What caused us to end up here? We have to know. So let's look at some notes. Now, first of all, everybody knows in the Holy Scriptures that um, Jacob was the son of Isaac. Isaac was the son of Abraham. That's why they always say, "Oh, and our promises." they have to always talk. They always direct the Most High with the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They always use those same three names. Well, Jacob, twin brother Esau, hated him. There was a time where he tried to be nice to him. It was just not in him to be that nice guy. He tried. So, how did it all start? When Joseph was, you know, his brothers, the tribe of Judah or Judas, all the tribes, leaders, all, all of Jacob's sons got together, or at least almost all of them, couldn't stand. They couldn't stand Joseph because Jacob treated him special because he was first of all born in his old age, and he was born by a mother that he loved so dearly. He loved his mother more than Leah. He loved Rachel more than Leah. Basically, that's just sum it all up. He loved Rachel more than Leah. And it was no discrimination either. He showed that he loved Rachel more than Leah. So, um, his brothers were jealous of him because he had a dream saying that he would rule over them, and it pissed them off. Like, first of all, he's getting the special love treatment from the father and the mother, and then he's getting these dreams saying he's going to be ruler over his brothers. So how do you think that made them feel? That made them feel like crap. And they took it like that too. So they mistreated him for that reason. And that's why he ended up in Egypt. He was sold to some Midianites, which sold him to some Ishmaelites, which sold him to some Midianites, and then he was sold to Potiphar, and then he was put in the house of Pharaoh. So, if I don't know, let's just imagine if Joseph never ended up in Egypt, what would have happened? What would have become of the tribes of Judah? What would have become of the tribes of Jacob, all his sons, his first sons, not his grandsons, but his sons? What would have become of them if Joseph did not end up in Pharaoh's house? If he didn't go through all the things he went through, what would have become of them? We can't predict that, right? So we can't predict what would happen to him at that time. So let's just say what happened based on our findings. And so after, you know, most people say that, there was no violence between the children of the Most High. Like they were just living this perfectly righteous, com- yes, they were. They were living a righteous life. They were living very well. I cannot deny that they weren't living well because they weren't. They were living pretty good. Well, because of them doing what they did and selling their brother, they wanted to slay him, kill him, but Reuben told them no. And he wanted to take him home, but then they plotted on doing some other stuff. They would get mad and angry, like, no, we want to hurt this dude. He thinks he's better than us. So he eventually said, okay, we'll put him in one of those lime pits. Don't kill him, just put him in a lime pit. Then we'll cut up an animal and we'll say that he was. No, actually, they said put him in a lime pit. Then they eventually said, let's sell him. So, in order for them to cover themselves, they cut up an animal, poured it on his jacket that they took off of him, that his father made him because he treated him special. Gave it to Jacob and told him that an animal slaughtered him. The whole time he's on his way to Egypt as a slave. I don't understand what they were doing, how did they end up with slavery anyway? That just shows you how messed up those people were in the beginning anyway. Because, okay, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point here. How did Israelites become slaves? The reason why it's important to know why did they become slaves, because they are the people who matter. Because these are the people who the Most High chose. And everybody might say everybody matters. Yeah, to you and to who you serve, yeah, you matter. But to our God, our Creator, we matter. That's the point. We matter because that is our creator. He is our waymaker, our deliverer. He is the one who helps us, provides for us, heals us, leads us out of darkness. He is the one who makes ways for us. So it is our Most High Yah who matters. And we are his people, so we matter to him. Let's get it started. Now, let me go over real quick. I'm going to go over some few things of how Israel got into slavery and how it mimics the same things that happen in America too. So when it started there and when we traveled across the seas, it was the same type of treatment almost. But this is where it began. So let's go up here. Well, first of all, Esau was a cursed person and his children. He was foolish because he sold his birthright. He sold basically his soul. He sold everything he owned to his brother Jacob. He was they said he was a designing man and he was deceitful. And he was the kind of man who hunted after other men's hearts and he inveigled them. And inveigle is to talk sweet or to persuade or to try to influence someone to do what you want them to do or bring out a cause or a result that you want to happen, but you'll do it like you really care and you don't. You're just being cunning because you're trying to get what you set out to accomplish or what your goal is or your hidden agenda. So that's the way he was. So he would trick people to get what he wanted. Now, he hadn't spoke to his brother in years, and Jacob ended, according to the book of Jasher, because all the books tell you something different, but I'm going to tell you the book of Jasher's perspective on it all. Jacob died in Egypt because Joseph was in Egypt. Remember, that's how they ended up in Egypt. Excuse me. He died, and before he died, all that time he was missing from Jacob, his brothers, the famine came. His father told them to go down to Egypt and get food. And Joseph knew they would come because he knew there was no food anywhere else except in Egypt. So he waited for them. He told his guards, the people who was letting the people into the gates to buy food, if these men, and make them write their names. Oh, excuse me, to make them write their names down, and then if you see these particular names, then have them come to a certain place where he could meet with them so he can play this little game. Which he played a long game. You have to read it yourself. It gets deep. But uh, they did come and they got the food. Eventually, they found out that it was Joseph because they didn't recognize him at first when they first saw him. So later on, they went back and told their father, all the things that happened to them because he made them go home. Then they came back a year later and then they went back after they figured out it was Joseph. And he wanted his dad to come live with him. And they ended up moving down into Egypt and living in Goshen. So while they was living in Goshen and Egypt, all this time while Joseph and all Jacob's sons were alive, they lived peaceably. Once they actually got there, at first they was about to go to war with Egypt because Joseph was playing games with them. Ooh, praise Yah, hallelujah. But they ended up moving there and Jacob died there. They were going to go bury Jacob in the cave of Machpelah, where um, he purchased this cave from his brother. According to this book, it says that he purchased it from a, a what is his name, Archiachus or some, or Bimelech, somebody. It says another name in the Bible, but in this book it says he purchased this cave from his brother. So while they're headed out, ooh, excuse me, to Hebron to purchase this, to bury their father, here come Esau, playing games, blocking their way, hindering their movement, trying to stop them from burying Joseph. Just gotta be difficult. Just can't be the nice brother and say, well, I've been trying to kill him all this time. I even tried to get my son to kill him. No, nothing, nobody would kill him. I couldn't kill him. No one would kill him. And now he's dead. Instead of just saying, now I won, he wants to play games. So he's blocking them. He's telling them that Jacob never purchased this cave from me, and he's like, and Joseph telling him like, I have the records. I have his records. So he tells Naphtali, his brother, to go run back to Egypt because now they're in Hebron. He's telling him to run to Egypt because he knew that Naphtali was light. They said he's light on his feet and he can run. He can basically jump over stuff like what's his name, Peter Pan or something, like jumping on leaves, and he was so light on his feet. So while Naphtali was on his way to go get these records, Dan's son, the brother Dan, his son named Shusham, who was blind and deaf, saw the commotion and he was like, "What's going on? Like, why aren't we burying him?" And they told him, obviously he read lips, and they told him what happened. As soon as they told him, he took his sword and went up to Esau and cut his head off. Now, mind you, that's when the fight broke out. So I'm trying to sum it up for you real quick. The fight broke out, and they went to war, and Jacob's sons conquered them. Basically, he conquered them. They conquered them. Yes, they did. So let me go down and see what happened after. This was the first battle. So Jacob's sons, they won that battle. So what was his name who cut his head off? His name was, yeah, Chisholm. Yeah, he did it. He cut his head off. So Chisholm's cut his head off, and Joseph took his Esau's grandson, who is the son of Eliphaz, who is the son of Esau. He took his son Zepho back to Egypt and 50 men that were with them as captives. So they went to prison in Egypt. And Eliphaz, the son of Esau, after they got away, him and a few of their men, they wanted to go back and fight Jacob and his sons. And so they didn't really mention how many died that day because it was supposed to just been a mourning or, yeah, a bereavement. And instead of they got into a big fight because of their ignorance and arrogance and pride of the Edomites. Now, the second time they got together, Eliphaz came and tried to fight against Jacob and his sons. They got into a battle, and they also included the people of Seir, the the mid Midians, the men of the east. So it was them plus the Midians plus Seir and the sons of Esau. So they said that these men's numbers were like the sands of the sea. They always say that about them. But Jacob's sons, they killed, was it 6 million or no, 600,000? Let me see, was it 600,000? Oh, I'm way off. Yeah, 600,000 men, and all of the men of Seir, the mighty men of Seir. So because of that, Joseph calls the son Kazepo Eliphaz's son, who is Eliphaz is the son of Esau. His son is still in their prison in Egypt. So he tells him, he pushes more pressure on Joseph did this. Joseph put more pressure on Zeppo and the men that they took captive because they started another war with them. So they took it out on the men that they had already captive. So after this second battle, losing to Jacob's son, Seir turned on Esau because they felt like you brought us to this war and we all got slayed. Yes, you got filet mignon. You should have stayed yourself at home. So let me go real quick because I didn't want to be on here for too long. And I like that, but so Seir called some people he called the people from the east who went to war with him and Esau the first time, them and Esau the first time. So it was 800 swordsmen, and then Eliphaz called help from Africa. He called help from Angeas, king of Africa, who sent him 500 men, valiant men, and 800 what they call cavalry. So they went to war, and Seir kicked their butt. Yeah, and then they went to war again with Seir, and Seir kicked their butt. So let's see what happened. I had it more detailed, but I'm not going to get all deep into it until we get into the Jacob and the point of why I'm telling you that fear caused slavery. Well, after Esau got kicked, the Edomites got their butts kicked in Africa by Seir. they Eliphaz was persistent. He just wanted to keep fighting. So he contacted Africa again, King Angeas again, to send him more men. So the third time he sent him men, he overcame Seir, this time killing about 2,000 men, is what they said, and Seir fled. So they said, yeah, the third time he asked for help, he actually won that time. So he killed about 2,000 men, and I believe, did he pray? I was trying to find that because I believe that he actually, or was it Zeppo, his son, him or Zeppo? It don't right now. We can get to that another time, but this isn't the point. This section is not the point of my video. Well, anyways, they won that third battle with Seir, but after that third battle, um, Pharaoh died, and his son began to reign. But Jacob was basically the regulator, and he was basically running Jacob was running. I mean, sorry, Joseph was running the whole entire Egypt, the lands of Egypt. He ran everything in Egypt. So I'm so sleepy. I don't know why I waited to do this so late. Well, I wasn't gonna do it at all today. So it still looks good on me. Still looks good on me. Let's just go. Well, at least I know I can do both of those. This one looks weird. 22, 30. So, am I able to edit? Now, check this out. Now, I told you Pharaoh died. His son Magron reigned, but they called him Pharaoh too. Now, Eliphaz has conquered Seir and the east. And did I mention that fight that they had? There was a fight that Esau and his brothers had with, I believe it was with Seir. Yeah, when they fought Seir the first time, no, the second time, then the Edomites decided to help Seir fight the Edomites, their own brothers, because they felt like they were going to lose. So they started helping Seir fight their own brothers. And eventually, on the third round, the Edomites kicked their butt. I don't know how they did it all of a sudden, but they did. So the Edomites decided that they would never have a king over them that was from their own people. Like they needed a stranger to be their king, so it wouldn't be no weird. I don't know, because of what happened. They were so embittered by their brothers turning on them, and then they had to turn around and kill some of them. So that it hurt them to do this, and for what they had done and turned on them and try to fight and kill them. So they felt some kind of way about that. They didn't feel good about that. So they said, we're not going to have a king of our own people. We're going to have a king from a strange place. So they started with Africa and got a king from Africa who eventually they wanted Eliphaz, you know, his, they had a king, his name was Bela. Wait, no, he was Eliphaz conquered Seir East and got a new king, Bela, and his seed had multiplied. Yeah, so it was Bela. And he said, I'm ready to go fight with the sons of Jacob again to deliver his son and their men from the prisons in Egypt. And Eliphaz made peace with the east after he kicked their butts to help him. And then he called on the Ishmaelites, and then he asked for Africa to help him. Africa sent eight. So altogether, they had 800,000 men, infantry and cavalry together. And Jacob, the sons in Egypt, the Jacob's sons and the Egyptian army was about 600 men altogether, and 12 of the Egypts fell in this battle. So this is their third battle now. So 12 of the men of the Egypts fell, but none of Jacob's sons fell. Now, the leader of the 12 tribes and the people of that time, they were aging. Now, the third battle, Jacob's sons devoured Esau and Esau's sons. So now they told them, we're not going to fight them anymore because, but they hated them forever. And I thought I put that in here like they said that. They be taking stuff out of here. I'm glad this is. How the hell do they do that? Hmm. They hate the truth about themselves. You shouldn't do shit if you're worried about the truth. You still can't hide it. So where does it say that? Hold on. Now, yeah, here we go. Right here, chapter 58. I went right to it too. Chapter 58, verse 27 through 29. Well, basically, 28 says, you know, after they got their butts kicked from Jacob brothers the third time, they said to themselves, um, for the sons of Esau knew the valor of the sons of Jacob, and they were greatly afraid of them. But from that day forward, the children of Esau hated the sons of Jacob, and the hatred and enmity were very strong between them all the days unto this day. So that should have been in here because I put that in here. So I don't know. Some of my stuff is missing. So that means that these demons are electronically stealing and destroying and altering my files, because most definitely I put it in there for people to know why this hate started with this Esau of today, this trash of the world today who think he's somebody but he's nobody. Well, so we know that Esau hates the sons of Jacob to this day. Period. Even to our day, as you can see, it's still happening right here in America. Yeah, that part. That's how we ended up in America, because they hate towards us. Now I'm gonna do this again, right? Yes, I am. Yes, I am gonna do it again. Oh, yes, I am. I gotta take my nap. I got to take myself to sleep. Well, you know what? You can do this over. I'm about to go to bed.